but I think we should just do it. So let's do it. Let's get started. You will take note that I am playing on the Super Mario Bros. / Duck Hunt cartridge. Here is the actual cartridge that I have played this game on for all speedruns. I believe. Any record I've gotten has been on that cartridge. Yes. It doesn't matter what version you play on. They are pretty much all identical. There's like a slight difference between Duck Hunt and the other ones. And that's just... The only difference is when you hit reset, it won't keep you in second quest if you've already beaten the game. Literally the only difference. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Even the Famicom version is like the exact same game. We wait on the title screen for 8.5 seconds or so. That is RNG manipulation. Mainly for the bullet bill in 8.2 to fire, but a little bit for Bowser, because I scoped out all the frames that I would likely arrive at Bowser, and you could arrive at 8.2 on a few different frame rules to still get a bullet bill shot for bullet bill glitch, but I picked the one that would give me the best chance of getting past Bowser when I got there on record pace. It's not a tight window. You have an entire frame rule, 21 frame, 0.35 second window to hit start on the title screen. So I just look at the timer when it's like minus 2.7-ish. I hit start, and then it's a really big window. There are many frame perfect tricks in this run, so hitting a 21 frame window on the title screen, easy peasy. Here we go. Maybe. You can do it. Okay, we're going to open up a different one. The original. I tried to trim it down, but I think that one's bad now. Let me just make sure this is the right one. This is in fact the right one. Go! Okay. So, nothing special. You go in the pipe because it gets you to the end of the level like 2.5 seconds faster or so. And then your subpixels happen to be lined up for flagpole glitch to just do this setup. One of the most common suggestions is, why don't you grab the bottom of the flagpole instead of the top? At least that's what it used to be, because we used to grab the top all the time. You see the flag didn't come down, and a lot of people unfamiliar with the run might just assume that's because I grabbed the bottom. But no, normally the flag comes down no matter where you grab the flagpole. And grabbing the top is actually faster when the flag comes down. While I'm explaining this, I'll just show you in 8.1 what happens. Because this is the level I don't do flagpole glitch on. I'll explain why later. But yeah, you see, I grab the top, the flag comes down. When the flag reaches the bottom, not when Mario reaches the bottom, when the flag reaches the bottom, Mario jumps off the flagpole. And if you grab the top, he avoids landing on this block, and him just like falling backwards and going is faster than him, like if he had to walk off the block, fall, and then keep walking. So he gets to the castle a little faster. Shoot, I forgot that this is not the trimmed one anymore, so we have to find the start again. That's okay. The only way to make the flag not come down is to hit the flagpole from like inside the block, basically. Because for whatever reason, there's all, like, the whole game is made up of a bunch of blocks, right? You can see on the ground, there's like all these different blocks. Even the background, this is like a block, this is a block. These are just ones you can't interact with. But you can interact with this block, you can interact with this block, and every different block you hit on the flagpole will give you a different score, right? You get like 500 points or 2,000 or 5,000. But for whatever reason, if you hit this block, like you hit the flag inside this block, the flag doesn't come down. And it's just programmed that way. I don't actually know why. But there's like a check to see, like, there's like a check to see if Mario grabs the flag here, just the flag stops. And I don't know why. Like, you can, I've gone in a like hacking tool, and you can move it around. You could move it to like here, so he'll slide down to like the middle of the pole and then jump off. But for whatever reason, like touching the flag there is just, the flag just doesn't move. So moving on. In order to get inside the block to grab the flagpole at that position, you have to do really precise inputs, like tighter than pixel perfect. There's only like a few sub-pixels that make this possible. And like I said earlier, when you come out of the pipe in this level, your sub-pixels happen to be lined up so that you can do specific inputs and be lined up for this clip. Basically in 2016, we were kind of out of options of saving new frame rules in a way, and we started messing with this flagpole glitch because the task does it to save time on like all the flagpoles. And we would just randomly jumped at the flagpole, and occasionally we would happen to get it, and it was like insane. It was like, oh man, we're throwing at hundreds of attempts at just like basically randomly jumping at the flagpole, and when you get it, it's like the craziest thing ever. But no one ever finished the run after they got it, because when you get one run out of hundreds, it just doesn't really happen. Now imagine trying to do that on all the flagpoles. It won't work. So we needed a setup, and a man by the name of Sockfolder, who's found a lot of tricks in a bunch of different games, came along and saw our plight, and he ran a bot to do a bunch of different inputs at the stairs and find a series of inputs that would give you flagpole glitch, or the setup for it. So what you do is you have to land on the leftmost pixel of this step without holding the B button. So you'll notice that Mario does slow down a little bit for a second there. That's because I'm not holding run. But the frame you land, he'll slow down to walking speed. Then you hit B, and then 2 frames later you hit jump. So it's like B gets input this frame, and then 2 frames later jump gets input, so he jumps the next frame. And if you do those exact inputs, you'll be lined up perfectly so that you barely don't land on the block. And what happens is, since you are like as close to the block as possible without landing on it, you're pretty much inside the block on the next frame a little bit. And then the way this game tries to shove you out of walls is it'll push you opposite the direction you're holding. So if I just kept holding right, it'd shove me right out of there. I wouldn't go inside the block. But you actually hit left on this frame, and that starts pulling you into the block. You hold left, it pushes you right. And if you do that, and then you jump the frame you land, he'll grab the flagpole inside the block. You can see this is where you normally are able to grab it, but he grabs it lower than normal, and that makes the flag come down because of the strange behavior of, I don't know why it's programmed to grab it on this block and the flag doesn't come down, but it is. So there you go. All that, something like 5 frame perfect inputs to save 0.35 seconds. But the great thing is, we can do those 5 frame perfect inputs on a whole bunch of levels. Isn't that fun? And then we can do like 15 frame perfect inputs to save 1 second. Isn't that great? But if that's not enough, the trick in this level is even harder than that, and it saves the same amount of time, 0.35 seconds. Thanks, Yarms. This level, it's really funny from like my history of this game start to finish. Getting world record in this game used to be hard just because like beating all the levels at top speed was hard. Like 1-2 was a hard level. You had this jump over here, which it's perfectly okay to struggle with this jump. It's really tight. Just like jumping past the Koopa right there. You have to jump, not hit your head, not hit the Koopa, and do a really small jump so you don't hit the next Goomba. But that's like very basic stuff when you get to the top level. Like the amount we have progressed over the years is really insane, where 1-2, like just clearing it at full speed becomes like trivial almost, and then the things you actually have to worry about at world record level at this point are things like this trick, which I was very bad at when I got my last PB, but I have gotten better at it. And this is pretty much the same concept as flagpole glitch, where you jump kind of at the corner of a block and you get into it a little bit. Also the same concept where I land without holding B, so that when I land, it instantly slows me down to walking speed. If you jump at the corner of blocks, you're able to get a little bit inside them, and then you use the wall mechanics to your advantage and get pulled in further. And since this is like a really short jump to make, that's like the smallest jump Mario can possibly do. That's him being at walking speed, because if you're at running speed, Mario will jump higher than if he's at walking speed. So you need to be at walking speed, and you need to press the A button for only 1 frame. So I push jump here, I release jump here. If I kept holding it for any longer than that, he would jump too high. So that might not seem too bad. It's like push it here, release it here. But let's play that in real time. Like 2 frames is so fast. I can't demonstrate in real time how fast that is. You have to only be pressing the button for that short amount of time. To make it more is that it's not just about hitting that button for 1 frame, but the frame that you push it on is frame perfect. You have to be at this exact distance from the pipe. And I do that by doing a frame perfect jump off of this platform. So frame perfect jump off this platform makes it so that the frame I slow down to walking speed, I can hit A for only 1 frame, and then we're in the perfect position. Because you don't want to like walk a bunch up to this spot, because you'll lose time. You only want to walk for like this 1 frame and then jump. So yeah, frame perfect jump off the platform, land here, frame perfect jump for only 1 frame. That makes him do the lowest jump possible. His foot kind of clips into the corner of the pipe, and then I start holding left, and that pulls him the rest of the way in. You can kind of see that like the wall thinks about pushing him out, and then it's like, oh no, he's holding left, so that means we need to go push him to the right. We barely get all the way inside the pipe, and at this point I have to quickly react to getting in, start holding run again, and then hold right. If I start holding right too early, he's not gonna go in the pipe. Like if I started holding right here, I'd get shoved out. You barely get inside. You can see like he makes it inside like perfect pixel margin. There's no room for error really. And getting the frame rule on this level is pretty tight. So I need to start running instantly. If I don't start holding right here, then he'll just start sliding, because that's how walls try and push you out if you do manage to get inside them. And that slide is way slower than actually running, so I would lose too many frames to keep the frame rule. So yeah, it's like frame perfect jump off the platform, frame perfect single frame jump, hold left with good timing, hold B plus right with good timing to not lose any frames. Jump out of this wall, which there's like a couple frames to jump out of this wall, probably 3 or 4 honestly. If you do it too early, you'll like jump into the block above you, and it'll like push you backwards and your run's over. If you do it too late, obviously you just won't jump. The reason you even have to jump out of it, you might be thinking, oh, why don't you just go in the pipe? It's not because the piranha plant's there. Their hitbox is so small, you can just run out of the wall and hold down and you'll go in. But the reason we have to come over here is, you see how at this point right there, the plants are still there. At this point right there, the numbers appear. And these pipes take you to whatever is above them. So basically at this point, the pipes, well, it's kind of complicated because there's 2 warp zones. There's like the warp zone at the end of 4-2, which takes you to World 5 with only a middle pipe. Basically, until this point, that warp zone is kind of loaded. It's like once you get far enough, it's like it like checks to make sure what worlds these pipes should send you to. Before that, it kind of just assumes that you're in the 4-2 warp zone for some reason. So the middle pipe will send you to World 5, and the other 2 will send you to whatever numbers or characters are floating above the pipe, which is nothing. There's a blank character, like here, right? So it will actually send you to blank character -1, which is very famous warp zone, or famous glitch known as the minus world, because it's just nothing -1. It looks like it says -1. But it's actually just a blank character Like, see, there's nothing here, and then now there's a 4. It's this nothing character, -1 is what the minus world is. So we need to come over here so that it actually takes me to world 4. And then we have to get back as fast as we can. And the fastest way to do that is by doing a backwards jump up onto this pipe, because Mario, just the way his physics work out, presumably because it felt more natural for him to slow down faster than it was to speed up. He accelerates faster, like, behind him. So if you do a backwards jump up onto this pipe, as opposed to a forwards one, you'll speed up faster and get going the other way. And in order to stay facing backwards, because you see at this point, I start holding left, he slows down, he kind of bounces off the pipe, and then I'm only on the ground for 1 frame. If I was on the ground for more than 1 frame, he'd turn around and jump up into the pipe. So this is another frame perfect jump. You can actually barely squeak out the frame rule, because doing this backwards jump versus a forwards one saves like 3 or 4 frames. But most of the time, in order to get this frame rule, you're going to want to do a backwards jump, which requires jumping frame perfectly right here. And all the while, as you jump over to this World 2 warp pipe, if I were to hit it a little higher, I would hit the wall jump pixel and like get caught on that for a second and the run's over. Or if I would hit it a little lower, I'd hit the lower wall jump pixel and the run would be over. So you have to hit like the right part of this pipe, so jump out of this wall like the right amount so that you hit between the 2 wall jump pixels, hold left, and you have to hold left with good timing. If you press it at the wrong time, it'll kind of pull him into the wall. So there's a whole bunch of factors that are even more ridiculous that you don't even realize unless you know all the intricate details of these tricks. But yeah, another frame perfect jump. And don't jump too high onto this pipe. I actually did jump a little high. I could have been a couple frames faster there, but that's okay. We have frames, like a couple frames to spare on the frame rule, and I got the frame perfect backwards jump up, so it all worked out. We saved the frame rule. And at this point, we are in 4-1, literally tied with the TAS. Not possible to improve. As far as we know, you cannot get to 4-1 any faster than this. I got all the swag coins. I even got swag backwards jump there. That's why it was the run. No other reason other than we got the perfect swag 4-1. Okay. Like I said, flagpole glitch, we're about to do it again. It is a subpixel precise trick. Not subpixel perfect, but like there's only a handful of subpixels that work. Which it just means less than a pixel, right? So it just means really small. It's really precise, okay? Subpixels don't actually exist. They're just like the game keeping track of your position at a super precise level. Titus, thanks so much for the donation. So yeah, in 1-1 and 4-1, our subpixels happen to be in an okay spot to where I just can do the same exact setup that I did in 1-1, and then we'll be able to do flagpole glitch. But this time I don't have the pipe to jump from, so it's like slightly different. You just have to jump off the bottom step so that you can reach this step on the very first pixel. It looks exactly like 1-1, right? Pixel perfect jump here. We push B on this frame. 2 frames later we push jump, so he jumps the next frame. And now we're set up for flagpole glitch. And that means that right here, when his foot goes inside the block, I need to start holding left for 1, 2, 3. And then this frame I need to keep holding left and push jump. And actually, I jumped a frame late, which won't always work, but it just so happened that there's like, kind of depending on like when you release right, because up to this point you're like holding right through the whole level, yeah? And then you have to release right to then hit left to go into this flagpole. Depending on when you release right, you may or may not have a second frame to jump into this flagpole glitch. So I got kind of lucky that I missed that frame perfect window and jumped the second frame instead, and it still worked. That happens like a fair amount of the time, but it's also like I guess it's not technically luck either. Like, you could time your right release to make that happen as well. I didn't really do that, but I just happened to get second frame flagpole glitch, and that's okay. Alright. 4-2. Again, subpixels are important on the next trick, but they just happen to be good. We don't have to do any tomfoolery to get good subpixels for this trick. Like I said on the past clips, we've kind of been jumping at the corner of a block, and Mario just naturally can get in the wall a little bit. But when you just jump straight at a wall, not at the corner like this, his subpixel position is really going to affect how far he clips inside. And that's really important here, because if we don't have good subpixels, we're not going to be able to get all the way inside the wall. But it just so happens we have good subpixels, so what we need to do is jump at a good height. See, there's going to be like, look, when I get inside this wall, I'm in like this row of blocks, right? There's pretty much 4 rows of blocks right here. Right? 4? Yeah. There's 4 rows of blocks right here. There's like the bottom row, second row, third row, fourth row. We go in the third row. So that means we are pretty much aiming to jump like just below the wall jump pixel of the first row, I guess. Like, we want to aim at this row, but like at the higher end of it. So your jump height's really important here, so that you can like fall long enough before landing inside the wall. And what we do is right here, I'm holding left, so he gets pulled in. And because this isn't a corner clip like the others, he doesn't get in quite as far. So we need a couple extra jumps to get in. I don't really know how to explain why that works. It's just, if you get in this far and you don't do more jumps, he'll just get shoved out to the left. But if I'm jumping and holding left, basically, see how this entire time that I'm holding left and in the air, it's pulling me in. But once I'm on the ground, it'll shove me out. So I need to jump, be in the air again, and then holding left keeps pushing me inside. Jump, and I'm holding left, so I keep getting pushed inside. And once Mario's fully inside the wall now, then we can just run. So you do see, kind of like I explained in 1-2, we want to, once we're fully inside, we want to run like as soon as possible. In this case, that's not exactly true. If I started running right here, I probably wouldn't be able to do the wrong warp later in the level. And that's because the whole goal here is to get Mario a little bit farther to the right side of the screen. So let's look right here. Here's Mario, and you can kind of notice, like, if we go straight up-ish, he's just a little bit to the right of, like, the coin count. But after we go in the wall, now if we go straight up, he's, like, here. So I moved, like, that much. And that much is enough to trick the game into sending me to the wrong place when I go down the pipe. So I don't necessarily want to run, like, here, because I need just, like, a few extra pixels before I start running, so that Mario is like here instead of right there. But don't wait too long, because if you wait too long, then you lose too many frames and you lose the frame rule. So there's a whole lot going on. But yeah, there's like a few ways to get Mario a little bit farther to the right side of the screen, but this is the easiest one to do fast enough, basically, to get the frame rule. It's like the most consistent way to get the fast frame rule for this level. So we hit the vine block. That is not just for show. That vine actually despawns this piranha plant. Has nothing to do with making this wrong warp work. If I don't hit the vine block, then there's going to be a piranha plant in this pipe right here. And the jump off of this platform to hit the vine block is kind of precise normally. Like, you need to jump near the end, but because Mario's like pushed extra to the right side of the screen, the platform is higher when I reach the end of it. So this jump is like extra precise, so you have to jump like at the very edge of it, and it's easy to mess that up. And then this jump doesn't look that crazy, but it's another really easy place to mess up, because if you jump too late, you'll hit this piranha plant. If you jump too early, see, I like barely land on that block. And I do a frame perfect jump off there so that I don't run into this pipe. I don't know. There's the things that are obviously really hard. I can say Flagpole glitch is like 5 frame perfect inputs, and most people can just be like, you guys are insane, craziness. But there's so many more jumps that aren't immediately obvious that they're just a spot you could mess up. So take out all the craziness, and most people, when they start learning the game, including me, they mess up just like trying to jump from platform to platform. But anyway, here, look at the right side of the screen. You see this block, like this column of blocks. You can see, compare it to this column, there's like a few pixels on the right side of it that are cut off. Thank you for the resub. Like look at this like crack thing on the block. There's like, I don't know, maybe a third of the block left after the crack. And then here there's I don't know, just look. There's not as much of the block visible. That's how you know that the wrong warp will work. The spot that the screen needs to get to in order for this pipe to actually like take effect, and the game knows, oh, he's gone far enough that I need the place he goes to be the underground. You need to get the screen. You need to get this like column of blocks fully on screen, and that's the spot where the game changes your next loading point from the vine to the pipe. And the reason it saves so much time is because, boom, we're just running immediately. If you take the vine, like each time you transition from room to room, this game keeps track of what method you entered the room with. So if it's with a pipe, you'll just like enter the room. But if it's with a vine, then you have to wait for the vine to come up and him to climb it. Like you could also, you know how there's vines that take you into like coin heaven areas? You can also rung warp into those, and you'll just like appear up there. You won't have to like watch him climb the vine. So that's really why this saves so much time. You can get on the vine like almost a second faster than you can get in this pipe, but since you don't have to watch Mario climb up the vine afterwards, this saves like 5 seconds. So, yep, we're going. And if you watch my video, when I do this clip right here, I say, ooh, we gotta go fast. Because depending on like the timing of like your jump height and the timing of when you start holding left for this clip, you'll get better clips than other times. And this wasn't like the best clip. He gets pulled in a lot faster if you have a really good one. So I knew if I didn't want to lose the frame rule for this level, I needed to have a really fast pipe entry here, and I had a super good one. Like, I think this is the first pixel you can go down the pipe, and I only stopped moving for like a frame before I pressed down. You have to come to a complete stop on this pipe before pushing down. Otherwise, the screen will keep scrolling after you enter it, and that's gonna make like enough of the screen load. Oh yeah, someone did point out, you can see like the left side, like if all of this block right here got cut off, then that's the point where the underground will load instead of the warp zone. So yeah, if I keep moving when I enter this pipe, then the screen will scroll and it'll scroll too far to load the warp zone. But yeah, I did a really fast pipe entry, so I'm still going fast enough to get the frame rule. But just to be sure I go fast enough, because there's only a couple frames to spare at this point, I did perfect warp zone movement, which basically meant I did a frame perfect jump here. And I can see, I use this cloud in the background as a visual cue. I can see, okay, I got the frame perfect jump. And then it's pretty tight left. You start holding left with really tight timing as well. And if you do it just right, he'll barely land on this pipe. You see that? If I jumped a frame earlier, I wouldn't be able to land on this pipe. If I held left at the wrong time, he wouldn't have landed on it. And that movement is like the best you can do at a human level, at least, to move through the warp zone. So all that to get us in World 8. Still 4 more levels we have to play. We're tied with the world record because frame rules are a thing. And this used to be, like I said, back in the day, this is like the hardest level to get through because just the pipe jumps and a lot of tight things in this level made it hard to beat at full speed. But now, because this is, and I'll explain why, this is the level that doesn't have any crazy tricks in it. Now it's like the easiest level. But there still is this annoying mechanic called bad judges. At least that's what Darbian coined it as. And that's just basically referring to the fact that, maybe you can see it. When I grab the flag, it's going to move down a pixel. I don't know if you can tell. Like, the instant I grab the flag, it moves down a pixel. If I didn't hit the star block in this level, that wouldn't actually happen. It's kind of complicated. I'll get to that in just a second. But basically, I bounce on this Buzzy Beetle for a specific purpose, and that's to see there's like this one white pixel to the right side of the Buzzy Beetle right here. And if I see that, I know I'm in the clear. It just means good things for now. I'll explain once we get over here. So I'm happy that I see that pixel. We do a couple pipe jumps, which used to be like the crux of the speedrun, but now they're like, if you mess them up, you're like very mad at yourself. At world record level, at least. It's totally normal to miss them when you're trying to learn, or even like everyone misses them. Okay, so we hit the star block, and you can see that, okay, I probably could have hit the star block like a little bit more to the left, but that's fine. Basically, the whole good judges thing is good judges versus bad judges just means how precise this star block hit has to be. I can hit it anywhere because I saw that white pixel on the Buzzy Beetle. But in 1/4 of cases, the Buzzy Beetle will be a pixel farther to the right when I stomp on it. And that just means there's a whole bunch of like internal stuff going on in the game to where like the flag at the end of the level won't move down a pixel when I grab it. Basically, this star and the flag at the end share some memory addresses. So, you know, just to save memory because they had very little back then. When this star despawns, like its position gets all freed up or whatever, but its subpixel position actually doesn't. And the flag at the end of the level actually shares the vertical subpixel position memory address with the star. So right now, I hit that star, and it technically moved the flag at the end of the level down a little bit, because the game looks at the same value to move both of them. So it's kind of complicated, and don't feel bad if it went over your head, because I probably didn't explain it that well either. But basically, I would have had to do a frame perfect jump into the star block if I didn't see the white pixel next to the Buzzy Beetle at the beginning. That's what good and bad judges mean. All that to save 1 frame on the flag going down. But that actually saves the frame rule, which means we save 21 frames in this level, which is kind of crazy. And yes, I did not do flagpole glitch in this level. After this run, I will explain why, because that is a potential improvement to this run, but it's not that simple. On to 8-2. We waited like 8 and change seconds on the title screen to manipulate the bullet bills and general enemy patterns in this level. Yo, James, thanks for the sub. Also, hitting these 2 Koopas, specifically like this, is important. There's like different methods you could use to get past them, but you want to make sure you stomp on the first and third exactly like that. And if you have arrived, if this exact amount of time has passed since we powered on the game, and you hit those 2 Koopas, it makes that bullet bill shoot. And that's just sort of like a, not exactly trial and error, but like, we know we're going to get to the level this fast. Let's see what enemies we can hit to make the bullet bill shoot kind of a thing. Because this game operates on frame rules, we know that we can arrive at this level at the exact same speed over and over and over. Assuming like we're doing a world record pace run, right? So, and then if a new trick is found, like, oh, we're going to do flagpole glitch in 8.1 and everything you need to save time in that level, then you just wait 1 frame rule longer on the title screen. So that's why I wait like 8.5 seconds or whatever. We used to wait like 7 seconds, but since we've implemented so many tricks, now we wait the extra amount of time that we save getting up to 8.2. So that makes the bullet bill shoot, and why do we care so much? It's because the bullet bill lets us do flagpole glitch, but not just any flagpole glitch. It's like super flagpole glitch. Because not only does the flag not come down, but like Mario just he's just chilling behind the tree suddenly, and the timer starts counting down. What happens on normal levels is he walks to the castle and then the timer starts counting down, right? And that happens because there's like a solid block in this castle. This block right here is solid. And you'll see as soon as Mario touches it, right now, boom, he disappears behind the castle. The game's just programmed, after he gets off the flagpole, wait for him to run into a block, and then we're going to put him behind like the scenery elements, the background type things, and start the timer counting down. When we get to 8.2, that's exactly what happens. Mario grabs the flagpole, he runs into this block instead, he gets put behind the background, and the timer starts counting down. The reason this is possible here and not elsewhere is because on the other levels, we get like as precise of a jump as we can into the flagpole block. We hold like jump and right on all the perfect frames, and we get as far into that flagpole block as we can, and we're able to grab it 1 pixel higher than this. But because there's a bullet bill here, you actually can get like this tiny little bounce off of it. It's lower than if you made Mario jump, right? It basically what I'm saying is if Mario's smallest jump he could possibly do was like this bullet bill bounce, we could do this on every level. But because it's not, you need an enemy in order to do this. And actually, there's something kind of weird going on here. What's actually happening is the game only checks to see if you're stomping on an enemy every other frame. So I should actually stomp on the bullet bill on this frame and move upwards on the next one, but I don't. I stomp on it on this frame and then move upwards. And that's just because, like, this is like a 50-50 coin flip type thing, where if you land on the bullet bill on, like, an even frame, you'll bounce the first frame you interact with it, whereas if it's an odd frame, it'll wait till the next frame to have you stomp on it. We used to just say this was like luck, like, oh, this is the only luck-based thing really in the run because everything else we can manipulate. But actually it is skill-based because you can use the bullet bill visual cue to make a frame-perfect jump right here. And then the positioning on this is very precise as well. Not quite as precise as flagpole glitch, but you do need to do a frame-perfect jump off these stairs. And basically, this is a frame-perfect jump for positioning so that the bullet bill glitch will actually happen. But also, the previous jump off the step, you watch the bullet bill and do a frame-perfect jump so that when you eventually reach the bullet bill, it will be on one of the frames where you pass through it for a frame and then bounce on it. And that lets you get this super low to the ground bounce and lets bullet bill glitch happen. So it's like a weird thing. You could be like, that's annoying, they programmed it to only bounce every other frame. But if they hadn't done that, this actually wouldn't be possible. Like, that's what makes this possible. And yeah, if you look at Mario, he is slightly lower than he was when we do flagpole glitch. And that means that he doesn't actually even get up onto the flagpole block. Like on the other, when I showed flagpole glitch, he would pop up onto the block on the next frame. But here, he is too low to even get up onto the block. So instead he kind of like just gets shoved out of it, as you do when you get partially inside walls. And instantly he's running into a block. Instantly. He doesn't have to walk over here to touch this block, and then the timer counts. He's instantly running into this one. So the timer immediately starts counting down. And even though we have to wait, it's like 5 game seconds for this to happen, so that's like a little less than 2 seconds. Even though we have to wait like 2 seconds for the bullet bill, this saves like close to 3 seconds. So the net gain is 0.7 seconds by doing bullet bill glitch. And on to A3. I jump at the beginning of the level. That's not because it's faster. It's literally because it's slower. You actually need to waste time in this level, because if you finish the game, or if you finish this level, or any level, with a 1, 3, or 6 in the 1's digit of the timer, so if I were to grab the flagpole right here, or here, but not here. If I were to finish the level here, 3 fireworks would go off after the end. If you finish with a 1 firework. If you finish with a 6 fireworks. So you have to play around that game mechanic in this level and like finish it just slow enough. Not too slow, just slow enough to not get fireworks. And flagpole glitch does naturally waste a little bit of time because you do this little slowdown to set up the jump. But it's not enough. So we also buffer a jump at the beginning of the level, and that wastes the remaining needed frames to not get 3 fireworks. And at this point you're thinking, great, now just execute the flagpole glitch. You've already done 2 of them. But it's not that simple. In the other levels, they just so happen to have subpixels that are lined up really well for flagpole glitch to work. But this level, we're not so fortunate. We need to do some kind of subpixel manipulation. And if you watch my video, I have like the hand cam and the input display. You can see it happen right here. When I jump over this bullet bill launcher, I release the D-pad super fast and hit it again. And basically, you want to release the D-pad anywhere from 1 to 3 frames. 2 is the best, but most of the time I end up releasing it for 3 frames because that's just a really short window to like let go of a button and repress it. Like what we're talking about doing is letting go of the button and repressing it within a 20th of a second. And that's not like time a button press within a 20th of a second. That's release it and repress it that quickly. So yeah, I very quickly do that. Based on how fast I think I did it, I actually have to decide on 2 different flagpole glitch setups. And I was pretty sure I released it for 3 frames, so that's the setup that I went for. So now we're all set up with our subpixels for flagpole glitch. Also, like I said, waiting on the title screen, we know exactly like what patterns we're gonna get. I knew the bullet bill was gonna shoot in 8-2. I actually know where all these hammer bros are gonna be. Even if I didn't, I'd still get past them like almost every time, but that is why like I go on the bottom here. Like I didn't know that they're on the top and middle. You don't have to go on the bottom, but obviously that's the safest place. But I'm just throwing that out there that it's not like luck based here. Okay, so flagpole glitch. Because I decided that felt like a 3 frame right release for the subpixel manipulation, that means that I actually need to not land on the leftmost pixel of the block. I need to land 1 pixel farther to the right. This might not look like it, but this is actually the 2nd pixel you can land on this block. And before, it was land on the block, push B the next frame, and jump 2 frames later, right? But here, it's land on the block a pixel later, push B this frame, and jump the next frame. So here he jumps. So I'm actually on the steps 1 less frame than before, but I landed on them 1 frame later. So, yeah. You think you have all that muscle memory, like you practicing flagpole glitch over and over and over to do B, 2 frames later, push A. B, 2 frames later, push A. And then in this level, I have to do a slightly different setup because of the subpixel manipulation I did. But I hit it, so that's great. I did B, and then 1 pixel later, 1 frame later, I pushed A. may as well just point out that that also entails a frame perfect jump off of here in order to land on the right pixels. And I would have to make that adjustment. If I did a 2-frame release, right release instead of 3, I'd have to jump a frame earlier off here and then do a completely different Flagpole glitch setup. So there's kind of a lot going on, but that sets you up for Flagpole glitch. Hold left here, 1, 2, 3, left plus jump, we're good. That looks really weird. I don't see the frame that I land. I don't know what the deal is with that. It's like the video dropped a frame or something. Which doesn't actually matter because based on Bowser's pattern is how we know the perfect time of the run. But yeah. Now I'm in 8-4. I'm exactly tied with both my PB and with second place on the leaderboard and with first place on the leaderboard at this point. I am tied with the top 3 times on the leaderboard at this point. All the 455s. Yeah, well, I did record at like 59.94, I think, and the NES actually runs at a weird frame rate. It's like 60.0988. A bunch of decimals. So some frames can get like lost a little bit, but it's fine because we can get the perfect timing based on Bowser's pattern at the end. But yeah, we're in 8-4. We're tied with world record. 8-4 does not operate on frame rules. We can tie again and again and again up to 8-4, but now every frame counts because once we touch the axe, timing stops. If we move on to quest 2 and go back to the title screen, yes, there actually is a frame rule in 8-4. But as far as getting the 80% record goes, doesn't matter. Every frame counts. Room 1, nothing special going on here. Just jump in the pipe. I say nothing special, but actually there is this piranha plant that just straight up disappears. And I'm surprised more people don't call that out. Everyone's just like, oh, you run over one block wide gaps and like all these really bad accusations that are just regular gameplay stuff. But no one says like, oh, you jumped off the wall jump pixel, or like that plant literally disappeared. Doesn't that look sketchy? That just happens. It's due to the way that this level works. If you don't go down the right pipes in this level, it'll like loop you over and over. And like the trigger for this room to loop just happens to trigger like right there, and it despawns the enemies. So yep, it's actually like kind of difficult to die to that permanent plant. You have to try really hard. Okay. This room, one of the hardest rooms in the game to play optimally. If you're familiar with it, you probably know, oh, this is the wall jump room, but this jump right here is actually really hard. You might not even realize that. This is a frame perfect jump, if you want to do it at full speed. See how close he gets to the pipe? He like goes a little bit inside it even. Like as close as you can get without bonking into it. And I was only on the ground for 1 frame. That's a frame perfect jump. So we know the pace we're on. We hit a frame perfect jump. We have to jump over here. It's a decently tight window to land on the back of that. And then we have to hit wall jump, which the way this works is, as I've explained, everything's built out of blocks in this game. We have 1 block here, we have 1 block here, we have 1 block here, and 1 block here. And if you land right between 2 of them, and like I said, you'll like go into the wall for a little bit before it shoves you out. Here Mario will get inside this wall for exactly 1 frame. While he's inside it for that 1 frame, we hit the perfect pixel to where he's standing on top of this block. I'm not like clipping slightly into this wall for 1 frame. I am instead standing on top of this block for 1 frame. And if we push jump on that frame, we will jump. And you'll notice I did a backwards jump to it. That's again because Mario accelerates faster backwards. So this part involves doing a backwards jump into a single pixel that you have 1 frame to jump off of. And depending on like how exactly, like what exact inputs you did to jump at this pipe, your subpixels will make Mario like accelerate faster or slower and you can very easily lose like 3-4 frames right there. But I actually like saved one. This is crazy. This wall jump is like human perfect, basically. It's like better than human perfect. Most of the time, the wall jump you'd be like, oh, I got a perfect wall jump, didn't lose any frames, is a frame slower than this. This is like a frame faster than you should ever expect. And I just got really lucky with subpixels or something. I don't know. Sometimes it just happens that you have like perfect subpixels and he just rockets into the pipe. So that was pretty sick. Insane wall jump. But we're not done yet. I know that I just got to this room, tied with record, and then sick wall jump, so I'm ahead of world record. Now I need to do a backwards jump right here. And that's because, again, Mario accelerates faster backwards. And so you can actually accelerate to top speed faster anytime you're at a standstill. You can turn around and do a small little backwards jump to get up to speed faster. You might be thinking, oh, why don't you do that everywhere else in the run? Can't you do that like all the time at the start of every level? And the answer is yes, but on the other levels it doesn't really matter because of frame rules. But here it matters, and here it matters a whole lot, because if you just tried to walk to the right, you can't get running speed while still on this pipe. You would need to jump up here at walking speed and then get up to running speed. But with the faster backwards acceleration, you can get up to running speed right here. And that actually saves up to like 5 frames, which is a very small amount of time, but is very big in this right here, because the way this record works out, you like tie the previous record up to 8.4, and then you just have to squeeze out a handful of frames to get a new world record. And that's what I did. I got a crazy good wall jump. This wasn't perfect. I think I saved 4 frames with that acceleration. And then here, this is just like the 4-2 wrong warp, except in reverse. In 4-2, we wanted to make sure we didn't scroll the screen too much, so that we could keep the previous like loading zone on screen, the vine. But here, we need to scroll the screen just enough to load the next loading point, and then we go back to this one. So there's actually a pipe across this gap, and just outside the screen, there's a pipe you go in that takes you to the water section. That's where we want to go, is the water section. Thanks, Daniel. But it's actually faster if you scroll the screen not to right here, but to right there. I look on the right side of the screen, you see this like pixel right here. It like repeats down the wall, but there's like this black line on the ground texture, and then right here, if you can see that pixel, now you can't see it. Now you see me, now you don't. If you see that pixel, you will get taken to the water room. If I only scrolled the screen to here, it would send me back to the first room of 8.4. But because I scrolled it that far, it takes you to the water section. So I got like a perfect turnaround. Just immaculate turnaround room. It was so good. This 8.4 is so good. And this is where I saved time over my previous PB. My previous PB scrolled like way too far because 455 had never even been done yet. So I just took whatever wall jump I got. It was like a few frames slower. And then here I scrolled the screen kind of extra far to be safe because I just wanted to get 455. But here we were playing for all the frames and we pretty much got all the frames. So yeah, really good turnaround room. I'll play the whole thing for you. Super good wall jump. Backwards jump. I need to explain the inputs for that. Really good turnaround. There's the water. The inputs for this, like I said, you can save a whole bunch of frames. A whole 5 frames. If you look at what's going on here, he turns left, and then he's not moving at all now. That means that on this frame, I was holding left, and on this frame, I wasn't holding anything. So that's like a frame perfect, like I hold left as he comes out of this pipe. That's a frame perfect left release, so that he goes neutral. and then this is a frame perfect right plus jump. So that's pretty crazy. It's basically 3 frame perfect inputs in 3 frames in a row. It's like left, nothing, right plus A. That's the inputs to do a fast accel. It's pretty crazy. The water section, if you want to go and look at my run, actually, it's so funny. Once I got in this pipe, you can literally see me look over at the right side of the screen to check for this pixel. Because it was such a good turnaround. I was like, that might not even be far enough. But I got it. And at this point, the deal is like sealed. There's no more frame perfect jumps or whatever. I just have to swim through this water section and not die. And then like not die to Bowser or something. But I pretty much have it. And I'm like, oh man. I cannot describe to you in words what it feels like to be in the water section on record pace in this game. It's so... I can't describe it. Like, it gives me a feeling that it's like nervous. The feeling is nervous, but it's like to a degree that I don't feel in any other situation, and I can't explain it. It's not like when I play a GDQ run or something, I'll get really nervous. I'll like shake and stuff. But it's not like that. It's like... I can't even explain it. Deep inside you is just... Your heart is like pounding. I can't explain it, dude. Your heart is going at 89 beats per minute. It's absolutely insane. Blistering 89. Maybe even 95. Maybe if you've been drinking enough Coke, it's up to 95. Okay. Water section. Did I not touch down there? I feel like I touched down for a frame. It doesn't actually matter. I haven't even looked at this yet. Live analysis. One frame touchdown, calling it. There it is. I knew it. Yeah, the tip of the fire bar doesn't have a hitbox, so it does touch me, but so do a bunch of enemies in this run. It doesn't matter that I touched down there for that one frame. It would if I was holding right, but I actually release it. Go check the VOD, you can see. I don't hold right during this part in case I touch down. And like I said earlier, if it's kind of like for the flagpole glitch and the 1-2 clip, if you are holding right and not holding B and you touch down on the ground, he instantly slows to walking speed. The same is true when you're underwater. If you touch the ground and you're holding right, he instantly slows to walking speed. But if you're not holding right, it takes him a little while to slow down. So, fun speed trick. Same goes here. I do walk for a few frames before entering the pipe. 1, 2, 3 frames. Wait, 1, 2... Oh, that was even better than I thought. I don't lose any time here. This is a perfect water section. You literally can't beat this without like left plus right at the same time to do task fast acceleration. So by RTA rules, this is a perfect water section. I would need to touch down for probably 2 more frames before entering the pipe in order to lose any time. And then the final room, the way this works out is, like I said, I picked a frame rule to start the whole run on where I had the best chance of getting past Bowser. And there's several frames I could have arrived here. I could have beaten the record by anywhere from like 1 to 6 frames. Spoiler alert, I beat it by 6, so that's pretty sick. And on 5 of those frames, this Hammer Bro throws a hammer. On one of them, he does not. And it is perfect, because on that frame where the Hammer Bro does not throw a hammer, that is the hard Bowser pattern. The rest are easy. But if you see that Hammer Bro on this pace I was playing at, which would have been if I went 3 frames slower than this, the Hammer Bro wouldn't have thrown a hammer. That would have alerted me that I needed to do a really precise jump through Bowser's hammers. But instead, that wasn't the case. I was very relieved to see that Hammer Bro pull out a hammer. And because he did that, I knew I was getting past Bowser. I just had to run under him. I got the X. It was 4 minutes, 55 seconds, 0.64. And we know because this pattern of Bowser jumping forwards and throwing this pattern of hammers happens after exactly that many frames from power on. I got a perfect axe grab, could not have grabbed it any faster, which means we know my exact time to the frame, 455.64. There you have it. I really just wanted like a 0.71 at least. A 0.6 anything would have been really great. And I got pretty deep into the 0.6 range. I didn't think I would get 0.64 of all things. I thought maybe a 0.67, but I actually didn't even believe, like, people in chat were like, that's not a 0.67, it's 0.64. Because the Bowser patterns look pretty similar on those two. And I was like, no, it wasn't. That's not possible. It's not possible I went that fast, but I did. So that's pretty crazy. Now, is this the final run? Is anyone going to beat this? Nope. Just kidding. Totally are. That's what everyone will tell you. Like, everyone and their mother is like, oh, Super Mario Bros., you can't beat the record. And then every time it's beaten, they're like, I thought it couldn't be beaten. Surely now it will never be beaten again. I don't know why it happens over and over and over. People are just like, oh, this one's perfect, it has to be. And it's like, why? Why this one? You say that every time. Why is this one the perfect one now? It's kind of frustrating. But I like say in the description of my video, like, someone will beat this. But I'm like satisfied. I say in my tweet, like, this will be beaten. I literally say this will be beaten, but like someone else will do it. And then people reply to my tweet and they're like, wow, this is it. The game's dead. No one's ever beating this. And I'm like, I did this and I'm telling you someone's beating this. Why won't you? I don't understand. It is really optimized, but I don't know why people they just assume. Like, it literally just got beaten. Why would you assume that it now cannot ever be beaten again? You know what I mean? Doesn't that make sense? Like, if it just got beaten, you should almost assume that it can be beaten again. It's not like it's been sitting there for 10 years. Okay, so let's explain how it can be beaten, now that I got all that out of my system. 8-4, there will perpetually be time to save there. Always. No one's ever going to get an 8-4 where, like, in a world record run where you can't save frames. It just isn't happening. Like, the best 8-4 ever done by Taven Webb, and then there's two people, I think, who are, like, a frame behind him. GTA's Kriller. I can't start listing names because someone will get offended I forgot them. Basically, they have tried a whole bunch to get the best 8-4 they possibly could. And, like, with save states at the beginning of the level, trying over and over and over and over and over. And it's like 12 frames faster than what I just did. Like 0.2 faster. There's that many frames to save. But it's so hard to do that it takes all those attempts. Like, you're never getting that at the end of the run. Especially the more... Like, if you... Imagine trying to do more tricks than everything I did to arrive at 8-4, and then saying you're going to get a perfect 8-4. And even that time's not perfect. You can go 12 frames faster, and then there's still more frames on top of that no one's ever saved in a full playthrough of 8-4. So it's not happening, okay? There's always going to be frames to save here. And the most likely spot is right here. Because this is the same exact situation as the third room. Remember how I said you do the backwards acceleration and it saves more than normal because you can get up to top speed faster? Because it's not flat ground. On flat ground, fast accel saves 1-2 frames if done perfectly. And here, it saves up to 5 frames if done perfectly. So, the reason why is because if I just run off, I miss that step, I land on this one, and now I get up to top speed, like right here. But if you do a tiny little backwards jump, you will land on this second step, and you'll be at top speed, like right here, instead of right here. Saves 5 frames. But again, remember the inputs. Left, nothing, right plus A. That's what you have to input. So, and that's after coming from this black screen. So it's even harder than, like, I have the nice visual cue in room 3 of Mario coming out of the pipe, and then I can time the press for when he's fully out of the pipe. This is just like, okay, we have a black screen. Hope you can time it. So it's even harder. It is doable, but the rest of my 8-4 is so good that even if you manage to save like 4 frames from this, you're gonna lose one on wall jump. That's just, you just are. My wall jump was just too good. And then you might even lose like 3 on wall jump. You might lose all of the frames that you saved from this on wall jump, because it's just really hard to control. But let's say that you, best case, you probably arrive in this room like 3 frames ahead of me maybe. And you can match this room. I had a super good turnaround. The fast acceleration at the start of the room wasn't completely perfect, I think because I jumped a little too high. But you could match this. So you could beat this run by 3 frames. You could get the 0.59. That would be really legendary. But you're thinking 3 frames, the IL record saves like 12. And most of those come from doing another fast acceleration back to the pipe right here, which, if you think it's hard just to do like those 3 frame perfect inputs in a row to fast accelerate, this is like, I can't even explain it to you. It's like that, but more. So you're holding left. On the frame Mario stops, you have to let go, and then hit right, and then hold nothing, and then hit left plus A. All while stopping on like the perfect pixel to save those frames. So it's like really ridiculous. It's like, instead of just left, nothing, right plus A, it's like left, nothing, right, nothing, left plus A. It's really hard. But if you do all that, there's frames to save. But for the strats I went for, it's pretty much a perfect run. So that's kind of crazy. But yeah, let's say like 0.05, maybe like 0.1. If you do 3 fast excels in this level, you can beat it by. So you can get 455.5, sure. That's the final resting place of SMB1, any percent. Wrong. Next place to save time. 8-1. Flagpole glitch. Boom, just do it. Not actually. It's more than just flagpole glitch, because like I said, I went into that whole long spiel about how you save 1 frame on this flagpole by hitting the star block and all that, and that lets you save a frame rule. Well, flagpole glitch alone isn't going to save you enough time to save this frame rule. You need to not only do flagpole glitch, but you can't do the setup that made it RTA viable in the first place. You need to do a 3 frame jump, exactly 3 frames, which, keep in mind, everything else will get like a frame perfect jump past that pipe in 8-4. So we do frame perfect jumps all the time, right? This is a frame perfect jump, but it actually matters how long you hold the button for. You have to hold it for exactly 3 frames, which isn't easy to do, from a frame perfect spot, and then that will line you up for the flagpole glitch. But that's not all, because you have to do a subpixel manipulation setup in order to be set up for flagpole glitch in the first place. But that's not all, because that's not going to save the frame rule either. You need to save 2 frames on top of that. And in order to do that, you go to the beginning of 8-1, and you need to do a perfect fast accel. Not one of the many combinations of inputs that let you save 1 frame from doing fast accel, but 2 frames, which there's only one combination that does that, and that is, on this frame you push left, on this frame you push nothing, on this frame you push right plus A, and on this frame you are not pushing A anymore. So it's 3 frame perfect inputs plus a single frame jump to do the smallest jump possible, and if you do exactly that after coming from this black screen with no visual cue and it's really hard to time, then you can save 2 whole frames. And then as you run through the level, you do a subpixel manipulation similar to what I did in 8-3 to be set up for flagpole glitch. And then when you get to the end, you have to do a harder flagpole glitch than all of the other ones that I did in the run that I described as really tricky and 5 frame perfect inputs and all that. And if you manage to do all of that, then you're on pace to still have to do 3 more levels and not mess up. But that would put you 0.35 seconds ahead of the record. And then you get to 8-4. you would probably lose like 0.2 to my 8.4 because it's so fast and you're really nervous, and so you'll end up getting like 455.4 or something. Someday someone's going to do that. If you get really good at the perfect fast excel, someone's going to do that. It's already like decently hard to get to World 8, but the better people get, I don't know. I think you could get quite a few runs to World 8 every day, and then every time you get there, you're trying to hit like multiple frame perfect inputs in a row at the start. And if you get it, which you can kind of tell visually, but not all the time, whether you got the perfect fast excel. And then when you do the subpixel manipulation, you're not gonna have any idea if you did it right. And then you just have to try and hit it at the end, and it's harder than all the other flagpole glitches. If you do that, then you can try and do the 2 frame perfect inputs for bullet bill glitch, the subpixel manipulation plus the 5 frame perfect inputs for 8.3 flagpole glitch. You can go for however many fast accelerations you want, plus the frame perfect jump and the pixel perfect backwards frame perfect wall jump. And if you do all that, let's say you somehow match my 8.4, then you're going to get 455.19. That's pretty fast. That is pretty dang fast. Most likely you won't get that fast of an 8.4 with all that, so you'll probably get 455.2. And that's so close to 454. Is there any way to do it? The answer is yes. It's been proven possible to save 0.35 seconds in 8-2, but that requires you to do the perfect fast excel at the beginning of 8.2 to save the 2 frames. When you get to this jump over this pipe, you have to do it like perfectly. You can see that I like jump over him like that. No, instead you have to land as close to the pipe as possible, slow down the minimum amount of time possible, land on the pipe, jump the first frame that you land, clear the piranha plant with minimum clearance. That sounded redundant, but get as close to the plant as you can to not lose too many frames. Lose literally no frames. Has to be a perfect jump. And then when you get here, the bullet bill will shoot at the right time. And then the bullet bill glitch is significantly harder than normal because it has to be like not only frame perfect, like you don't just have to land on the very front of the bullet bill. You have to like do the bullet bill jump in a specific way that lets you grab the flagpole a frame faster after landing on it. So yeah, if you do all of that, which a handful of people have gotten in practice, mind you, if we're talking about doing this to get 454, you would have to have done everything to get to World 8. Get the 8.1 perfect fast excel, subpixel manipulation, super hard flagpole glitch. Then do the same thing in 8.2, perfect fast excel, super hard pipe clear, super hard bullet bill glitch. At that point, you're in 8.3 and you have to hit 8.3 flagpole glitch. And then come within 3 frames of my 8.4, which I have described as being very hard. And if you manage to pull off all of that, you'll get yourself a super nice 454.99. Go ahead. Whoever wants to do that, be my guest. It'll maybe happen someday. But that's not on me. That's whoever you are out there, props to you, because you're better than I am. And that wraps it up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Oh, what will I do now? I'll play all the other categories of this game. There's minus world ending. There's like glitchless. There's all-stars version, any percent, and warpless. There's warpless. I need to get from 1859 to 1855, I think, is when I'll be satisfied. And then I need to get the 755 in lost levels. Just those 55s are too powerful, man. It's kind of crazy that they all line up that way because 1854 is crazy. 454 is probably crazier than that. And then 754 in Lost Levels, the least crazy of the three, but still pretty nuts. Yeah. So I'll be playing all that, plus Lost Levels Warpless, and on both versions of that game. And there's a whole lot ahead, so stay tuned for more Super Mario Bros. World Records. Let's go. Starting 2020 off super strong. We're gonna bust out so many this year.